Is aging a disease? This is a natural question. Just like coughing, fever, stomach pain, weakness, yellow and black face and other abnormal sensations and vision, people will ask if they are sick. Since ancient times, people hope that they can meet a good doctor, administer good medicine and cure their diseases. Qin Shi Huang just believed that there were gods and medicines that could make him immortal. Although there were legends about emperors looking for immortal medicines before Qin Shi Huang, the most famous one is the story of Qin Shi Huang's search for immortal medicines. The story is as follows. Once, Xu Shi and others from the state of Qi submitted a memorial, saying that there were 3 divine mountains in the sea named Penglai, Fangzheng, and Yingzhou, where immortals lived. They requested permission to observe fasting and led boys and girls to seek them. Thus, Xu Shi was sent with several thousand boys and girls to the sea to seek the immortals. Han Zhang, Hu Gong, and Shi Sheng were sent to search for the elixir of immortality. The above content is excerpted from the Annals of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, in the records of the Grand Historian. Ancient Greece has more clearly expressed records. Terence is believed to have said that old age itself is a sickness, while Cicero believed that we must struggle against old age as against a disease. Both Terence and Cicero are considered early advocates of the idea that aging is a disease. It has been suggested that Terence and Cicero's quotes may indicate that they view old age as a negative experience to be avoided or treated, but they do not necessarily support the claim that aging is a disease. There are also those who believe that aging is incurable. These doubts are undoubtedly untenable. It is natural to have certain negative perceptions and unpleasant feelings about your body. It is precisely because of these that people are led to find ways to avoid, challenge, and heal. It is not an isolated case that a certain disease cannot be cured for a long historical period. These 2 points are not grounds for doubt. Of course, neither Shi Huangdi nor Terence nor Cicero found a cure for aging. We now turn to 2 foundational studies related to the idea of aging as a disease. The discovery in 1925 that light intensity could impact the growth rate and lifespan of Drosophila, a type of fruit fly commonly used in scientific research, opened up new avenues of investigation in the field of genetics and aging. At the time, scientific understanding of genetics and aging was still in its early stages, and the role of environmental factors in these processes was not well understood. The discovery that light intensity could affect the growth rate and lifespan of Drosophila shed light on the complex interplay between genetic and environmental factors in determining the lifespan and healthspan of organisms. The research likely involved experiments in which Drosophila flies were exposed to different levels of light intensity, and their growth rate and lifespan were measured and compared. The findings would have revealed that flies exposed to higher light intensity grew faster but had shorter lifespans, while flies exposed to lower light intensity grew slower but had longer lifespans. This suggested that light intensity could modulate the growth rate and lifespan of Drosophila, indicating that environmental factors could influence these processes. Further studies would have likely been conducted to investigate the underlying mechanisms by which light intensity impacted growth rate and lifespan in Drosophila. This may have involved exploring how light intensity affected gene expression, cellular processes, and physiological pathways related to growth and aging. The discovery that light intensity could impact the growth rate and lifespan of Drosophila would have had significant implications for our understanding of genetics and aging. It would have highlighted the role of environmental factors in modulating genetic processes and lifespan, challenging the earlier notion that genetics alone determined an organism's fate. This discovery likely spurred further research in the field of genetics and aging, leading to a deeper understanding of the complex interactions between genes and the environment in influencing the lifespan and healthspan of organisms. In conclusion, the 1925 discovery that light intensity could impact the growth rate and lifespan of Drosophila opened up new avenues of research in the field of genetics and aging. It highlighted the importance of environmental factors in shaping genetic processes and challenged the notion that genetics alone determined an organism's lifespan. This discovery likely paved the way for further investigations into the complex interplay between genes and the environment in influencing the aging process and lifespan in organisms. Subsequently, another independent study was also started 5 years later. What is considered a landmark study in the field of aging and caloric restriction research by McKay et al. was published in the Journal of Nutrition in 1935. The study aimed to investigate the effects of caloric restriction on lifespan and growth in rats, and has since contributed to our understanding of the relationship between diet, energy intake and aging. The researchers conducted a series of experiments using rats as their animal model. They compared two groups of rats. One group was fed a restricted calorie diet, while the other group was fed an ad libitum, unrestricted, diet. The rats in the restricted calorie group were fed a diet with 30% fewer calories than the rats in the ad libitum group, but they were still provided with all essential nutrients to prevent malnutrition. The results of the study showed that the rats in the restricted calorie group lived longer compared to the rats in the ad libitum group. The lifespan of the rats in the restricted calorie group was extended by an average of 20 to 40%, depending on the specific experiment. The researchers also observed that the restricted calorie diet delayed the onset of age-related diseases, such as tumors and kidney disease, in the rats. Furthermore, the study found that caloric restriction also influenced the growth and development of the rats. Rats in the restricted calorie group exhibited delayed growth and smaller body size compared to the rats in the ad libitum group. However, despite the smaller body size, the rats in the restricted calorie group had similar or even higher reproductive capacity compared to the rats in the ad libitum group. The researchers concluded that caloric restriction could extend the lifespan of rats and delay the onset of age-related diseases. They proposed that the mechanism underlying the effects of caloric restriction on lifespan and aging may involve a reduction in metabolic rate, decreased oxidative damage, and improved stress resistance. However, the exact mechanisms are still not fully understood and continue to be an active area of research in the field of aging and longevity. These two pioneering studies started the scientific exploration of the mechanism of longevity. In particular, the effects of caloric restriction on lifespan and growth in rats were studied. This study forms the basis for further research into the effects of caloric restriction on lifespan and aging and has led to ongoing research on anti-aging interventions. These studies deepen scientists' understanding of the possibility of aging as a disease. Medicine has always believed that this is the law of nature. The text, The Yellow Emperor's Canon of Internal Medicine Lingshu Tianian, says, at the age of 100, all 5 internal organs are weakened, the spirit energy is all gone, and the body remains alone until the end. Similarly, the text, The Yellow Emperor's Canon of Internal Medicine Su Shang Theory of Innocence in Ancient Times, states, therefore, if one can maintain both the physical body and spiritual energy and live up to one's natural lifespan of 100 years, then one can depart after having lived for 100 years. The Emperor's Internal Classic not only gave a description of the death process, but also pointed out that 100 years old is the ultimate goal of lifespan. Currently, the FDA does not officially recognize aging as a disease. However, some researchers and advocates are calling for aging to be classified as a disease in order to spur more research and development of treatments for age-related diseases. The FDA has acknowledged the potential benefits of treating aging as a disease, but they have not yet made an official determination on the matter. When the World Health Organization revises the International Classification of Diseases, ICD, at the end of 2021, many scholars participated in proposals and discussions. This is a catalog used to standardize disease diagnoses worldwide. In an initial revision, it is planned to replace the term, aging, which is considered outdated, with a broader term, old age. The new wording will be filed under a diagnostic category that includes symptoms, signs, or clinical findings. Crucially, codes associated with diagnoses, the names required to register new drugs and treatments, include the word pathology, which could be interpreted to imply that old age is itself a disease. Some researchers look forward to the revision as part of creating and promoting anti-aging treatments. But Labourou, a professor at the University of Ottawa and a geriatric psychiatrist at Ottawa Hospital, worries the changes will only exacerbate ageism. If age alone was considered a disease, it could lead to insufficient care from doctors, he said. Rather than pinpointing exactly what is bothering the patient, the problem can simply be seen as a consequence of advancing age. The crux of the problem is that if you legitimize old age as a diagnosis, you run the risk of a lot of people using it inappropriately, Labourou said. Some experts agree. There's been a huge momentum around the world to say, this is wrong, he said. Due to these controversies, it was not fully adopted in the end. But ICD-11 doesn't completely eliminate aging. Diseases associated with aging still have an expanded code, but are no longer defined as caused by a pathological process, but instead are referred to as caused by a biological process. At the same time, instead of old age, the catalog uses the term aging-related decline in intrinsic capacity as a diagnostic description. For decades, biologists have believed that there may be an underappreciated but important link between aging and many chronic diseases in humans. Aging increases the risk of many common diseases, including diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, AD, Parkinson's disease, PD, cardiovascular disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, osteoporosis, OP, and even osteoarthritis, OA. In addition, many elderly patients have multiple comorbidities as they age, especially after the age of 60. These patients require a combination of different treatments to achieve long-term therapeutic effects. Additionally, existing treatment options for many age-related diseases may interact with each other. As aging is one of the major risk factors for most chronic diseases, it is expected that understanding the aging process will help identify therapeutic targets for age-related diseases and develop pharmaceutical agents suitable for future approved clinical use. Cellular senescence has a major impact on the maintenance of normal tissue homeostasis in pathological conditions, and is the main pathogenic factor in the aging process of the body, and promotes aging and aging-related diseases. Cell senescence refers to the process in which the proliferation, differentiation and physiological functions of cells gradually decline over time. In 1956, Denham Harman proposed the free radical theory of aging, arguing that degenerative changes during aging are mediated by the deleterious effects of free radicals produced during normal cellular metabolism. In 1961, fibroblasts were first shown to have a finite lifespan in continuous culture of human diploid cells. To date, many molecular mechanisms regulating aging have been discovered, such as telomere dysfunction, loss of protein homeostasis, mitochondrial dysfunction, stem cell exhaustion, and epigenetic alterations. The aging process is driven by many complex and important pathways, many of which are linked to chronic oxidative stress caused by elevated levels of reactive oxygen species, ROS. Regardless, work is moving forward. Silicon Valley, which has a long history of investing in anti-aging research, has a new crop of longevity-related startups like Turn Biotechnologies and Altos Labs. Saudi Arabia plans to invest $1 billion a year in research on extending health span, or the number of years a person remains healthy. Meanwhile, the National Institutes of Health is actively asking scientists to apply for funding for age-related research. When asked about the ICD change, Luigi Ferrucci, scientific director of the National Institute on Aging, said it was a good bet, because it supports the idea that aging has functional consequences. Research and budgets have grown steadily over the past 20 years, Melev said. What's holding the field back is not a lack of money, nor is it the semantics of aging as a disease or not. Therefore, since the 1920s, anti-aging intervention research has been progressing, and it is particularly worth mentioning that anti-aging research has developed faster in the past 2 decades, and the recognition that aging is a disease has also been recognized by more and more people. Accepted by scholars.